light bulb goes off. Like, dude, your dad about died and had a heart attack. Like, what are you worried about? Like, just relax and enjoy it. Like, just be content. It's okay to miss a few workouts. Like, be content being with your dad. Just try to go out there and enjoy it. And I'd lost the love of baseball in 15 and just hated it. I was so burnt out of everything and lost all joy in it. And that's where my mind shifted from, okay, you work hard enough. You work your butt off for everything you've gotten. Now just go have fun again and play it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Moeller Real Estate and Business Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Moeller, and on this podcast, we will be interviewing guests that have made their mark in real estate, in business, and in other areas of life. Listening to podcasts myself has helped me in so many different ways and continues to do so. If you're a real estate investor or an entrepreneur, or aspiring to be either, or just someone that wants to learn, you've come to the right place. An easy way to have an impact is to share this episode with friends or family, provide a review, or just spread the word. We greatly appreciate it, and now let's get to the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Moeller Real Estate and Business Podcast. Very excited for this week's guest, Mr. Jared Hoying. Jared, how are you doing today?
Good, Phil. How you doing these days?
I'm doing great, man. Really appreciative of you coming on the show. For our listeners, if you don't know Jared, you're going to enjoy this conversation. Jared is a local legend from Fort Laramie, Ohio. Professional baseball player for 12 years. Includes being professional in the U.S. as well as in South Korea. So I'm really excited to hear about that story, that journey, kind of some different turns and twists and things that I think you learned a lot from. Now back in the States, working in a professional career. So I'm excited to get into that, and we're going to talk leadership, mindset, all kinds of things. But before we get into some of that stuff, Jared, tell me a little bit about your background, kind of upbringing, and baseball and the twists and turns. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Story's really the same as any other kid. Fort Laramie is a small town. I think we've maybe got 2,000 people. We're sports-minded people, no different than anybody in Mercer County, All County, Shelby County. I think we all just rely on our sports, really, our schools, a lot of passion. But no different than any other kid. Just grew up in the country, and dad played sports, mom played sports, and we just played a lot in the backyard. And the dream of being a big leaguer was always there. Every kid dreams that. But I just love the game of baseball. And for lack of better terms, I didn't like to suck. So I just practiced and practiced and practiced.
There's our title right there. Don't suck, right?
Don't suck.
Work.
Yep, just work harder. And just kept playing because I loved it. And that led me from little league to high school to playing Sydney Legion baseball. That was a big deal back in the day. I just wanted to play in college. Then all of a sudden I'm playing Division I college. Then all of a sudden I wanted to be drafted and to keep playing. Then I ended up getting drafted. And then I just wanted to keep playing some more. And then I got to the big leagues. And then I got to South Korea. And it just kept going. And I played until I ripped the jersey off.
So some of those bigger moves from, high school and Legion ball to college and then to the minors. Tell us, how were they different from each other? Like, what were the big changes on maybe the expectations or your mindset as you went from, one level to the next? And we'll start with college. Like, what was new there? What changed there? Or wherever you want to take it. But just what was the shifts or the change? Or like, oh, this is not the same thing I was doing in the past.
Oh, college was probably the biggest shift, honestly. Being a small town kid, I'd never really been anywhere. I'd never been anywhere by myself for the most part. And I show up to Toledo and some small little scrawny kid and not knowing anybody, had no clue what I was getting into, if I was good enough. You always kind of have that self-doubt, I'm coming from a Division IV school, playing Division I baseball. Am I good enough? And then you walk in that clubhouse, you see guys take BP, and you kind of eyeing down everybody. And the competitive juices in my mind is I can beat him. I'm better than him. And that's kind of where it starts. And, I was scared to death. It's a funny story. My wife, that's where I met her at. She's from Coldwater. And I was so homesick. And I think it was partway through my first fall at Toledo, and I was ready to go home. I was homesick. I missed all my buddies at home. They're all working, making money. And I'm just kind of here hanging out, not knowing too many people. And she reeled me back in, and she kind of yelled at me, ripped my butt a little bit. Like, what are you doing? You got a scholarship to play baseball, do what you love. You know, don't throw that away. You'll regret it forever. And
What I think in so many things. So you can talk business, you can talk real estate, you can talk any area of life. The question, the self-doubt thing, and the question, am I good enough? Do I belong here? Am I in the right room? Am I in the right place? We all have those thoughts, right? And I think we do well into adulthood, and really as human beings, we just have that in general. Was it really? Did you have the confidence to know you can overcome that, or did you really need others and then your girlfriend at the time to really get you over that? Or like, just talk to me a little bit more about that.
that was honestly the initial push I needed was from her. Like in a weird way, like she's my wife now. We've been married for geez 11 years. But like my mom and dad were awesome. They're just like just be happy. My dad was a big stickler on don't regret a decision at 18 years old that you'll regret when you're 50, and that stuck with me through a lot of things too. And but Tiff gave me that initial push almost, and that kept me around. And then it was all business. It's like, all right, let's just work hard. Let's just go kick some butt, and let's just get after it in anything I do.
Yeah. By the way, I know Jared's dad. I worked with him in the corporate world for a long time. So not surprised that he brought some wisdom to your life, honestly, in this discussion. But I think the regret topic is an important one just to touch on a little bit. And even the wisdom of don't regret something in 30 years. Don't look back and say, I wish. And honestly, I think how we need to think about things is really have a mindset of curiosity as to like don't give up too soon because if it might turn into something bigger, right? Be curious like, well, what if I just stick this out for another week or another month or another 6 months or another year? And clearly, if we go back to your college, you're pretty thankful and appreciative and grateful that you stuck it out and you said, okay, you had the mindset. I don't fear. I like the phrase fear regret, not failure. The worst thing that could have happened there is you could have literally failed, maybe not made the team there. Who knows what? Who cares? You tried, you put the effort in, you wouldn't have any regrets, right? So we just take failure, we let it control too much, and I think we need to fear that regret of what if, and be curious about. But if I stick to this, what might happen? So let's take that as a transition to okay, we really started working, hustling, built the belief in college. Where did we go from there? How did college go, and what was the transition like to the next level?
And then it was just work, and I enjoyed it. We had our practices. We'd get back from Christmas break, and we'd go right in the gym and just start running and running and running. And that wasn't about conditioning. It was more about mental toughness and see you could stick it out. And I would be the guy. I'd make sure they'd bring in a trash can because I would just puke. I don't know why. To this day, if I run a bunch, I puke, but I just keep going. And the guys would all laugh at me like, "What are you doing? You're the most in shape guy here, kicking everybody's butt in all these sprints, and then you go to the trash can and you puke, and then you come back and you keep running. Like, what is wrong with you?" They thought I was crazy. I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's just a mindset. It sucks to go through it, but you flip that switch in your brain and you just go after it. And I'm so competitive, and I was super competitive. I wanted to win everything, and that can go back to I was being the smallest kid in my class until probably my junior senior year. I was always a run. I was little and I had to fight and scratch and claw for everything, and that having that mindset growing up, it just carried me into that, and that carried me all the way through pro ball.
Well, I think the mindset of, just your teammates saying, "Why are you doing this? You're in the best shape on the team." Well, you could also probably say, "How are you in the best shape on the team?" Because that mindset got you there, right? And the other thing I like to say I mean, if they're, if from a health perspective, I'll say if you're training for anything, if you're just working on like a workout routine, but physical pain is just a test of your mental toughness. I think a lot of times, like what physical. Now, I'm not saying go injure yourself. I'm not saying that, but a lot of times it really just all comes back to mindset. So you had the mindset, you built the mindset, competitiveness, grit, toughness, work ethic, some of the different things we've heard gets us to really to do well and I guess have an impact in college where you start to get some people looking at you. So where does this go from here?
Yeah, and then pretty much I started shortstop right away from I'd say the first month they tried a few guys out freshman year, and then we were playing Miami University, and I started at shortstop that whole weekend. Ended up leading the team in home runs my freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. Stole some bags, playing shortstop every day. Just kind of a raw athlete type, and that led to some scouts getting some calls from agents, calls from scouts, letters from scouts, and then hit that next, we'll call it a roadblock. Like, okay, here we go. Here's the next step. If I want to keep playing baseball, this is the next challenge. Led into getting drafted. Got drafted in the 10th round by the Rangers, and as everybody knows, it's hard to get drafted, let alone being a small town kid in the middle of nowhere. It's a big dream just to get drafted. And that led me to the minor leagues, and then that was a whole nother roadblock of challenges.
Because minor leagues is not, the dream is there and it's still there. But that's really it from a lucrative perspective, is my understanding, right? Because you're traveling, you're living out of probably a gym bag, you're not getting paid anything, if I understand correctly. And maybe I'm misunderstanding, but you truly, like early on, you said at Toledo, you clarified what you wanted. You like decide you're going to work, and you just go work. And it minor leagues, is it more of the same, or was there any changes in mindset as you got into the minors and started to deal with the different types of adversity and challenges?
It's the same mentality, that dog eat dog world. You go in there, see a room full of guys for the first time, you start sizing everybody up, watching BP, and you're checking everybody out. You're checking the first rounders out. Why is that guy a first rounder, and what's he got? Why is he better than me, quote unquote? And you look at that, and you're kind of like, all right, even though he signed for $1.5 million, like, this guy can't pick up my jock strap. I can run faster than him. I got a better arm. He might look a little smoother, but I'm going to go kick his ass. You kind of had instantly from day one, that was my goal. Like, I had that chip on my shoulder a little bit. And it's like, no, I can compete. I'll go get him. And then you just do your thing. Then you just work
What
even harder.
was that the differentiator that, like, so what other differentiators, if you observed your other teammates that made it from minors to majors to the big leagues, what was it? Was it just the dog eat dog work? I'm going to outwork them, or were there other things that really got people to the next level?
A lot of it's mental. Everybody works hard. Everybody works hard in the minor leagues, and in the big leagues, guys work even harder. But it's the mindset of just showing up every day. Just keep going. You got an 0 for 4 day, just keep going, keep swinging, keep swinging. Like, just you take a knockout punch, you go 0 for 4, or 0 for 12, and you're kind of like, oh my God, there's no excuses. It's just, I just got to get in the cage. I got to work harder. I just got to keep going, and literally baby steps, and don't think big picture too much, because then you get lost in it.
Yep.
The literally the secret or the key to it is just show up every day
Yeah.
and just work at it. And as soon as you start thinking big picture and like, oh, I should be in double A, I should be in triple A, I should be in the big leagues, your mind's clouded and you lose sight of the fact that, nope, I just got to show up, stick to my routine, and that's going to pay off.
And I think baseball of different sports is such a mental game, because if you fail 7 out of 10 times at the plate, you're having a great year, right? And if you go,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's in it, but just I think consistency and discipline are the big thing that stand out. So we're in the minors. We have this mindset. We just work, work, work. When's the big day? How do we get to this big day?
So here's the caveat to the big day. Then there's these things called politics that show up that everybody's heard about, knows about. So 2014, I had a great year in AAA. It's my first full season in AAA. I hit 26 homers and hit 275, stealing 20 plus bags. Playing center field every day, driving in 80 RBIs, and just dominating. September, Rangers had a bad year, and they're calling guys into the office for September call-ups. And I'm waiting, waiting, waiting. I'm the last one to get called in the office. But I got called into the office to get told I'm not getting called up because they had too many guys on the 40-man roster, and they didn't want to lose those guys due to free agency and all the claiming
Yep.
rules and all that
Yep.
jazz. So I literally got called into the office by the GM, the assistant GM, or head coach, apologizing to me because I had a hell of a year, but they're not calling me up to make my dream come true. And that one was to this day, it still haunts me. To this very exact day. I can remember every second about it. And the mind's a powerful thing. And then fast forward to 2015, I had a horrible year, absolute horrible. Like I still want 2020, but I think I hit 220 that year. And I was sick and just swing was lost. I tried too hard, tried to put too much pressure, and I got out of my day by day, just keep showing up mindset to this is BS. Why am I here? I should have got there already and almost looked too far ahead. And that got me in trouble big time. And I almost regressed. And oof, that was a tough one. That was a tough pill to swallow.
So first of all, I think there's this. I think this is an important lesson. So, and if I misspeak here, definitely not trying to use you as an example, but I guess yeah, maybe I am. But 2000. So you go into that, and you can't control. You can only control your performance on the field, right? You can't
Mm-hmm.
control what their decision making criteria is, all that stuff. Like that is set. But your
Yeah.
mindset of that became a little bit at that time. Um, I did what I needed to, but it didn't work out for me. I guess you did take the mindset, no, I'm going to try harder. I think you did say that, but it almost you just took it too far, and even mentally, you weren't in the state of maybe confidence and other things. Like I guess I think you did. I was going to say, I don't know, did you take the ownership or put the onus on them because you did it? But I think you took the ownership. Just maybe you almost took it too far. Help me think this through.
I almost took it too far. You know, worked too hard, worked my body too hard, and I got sick in there too. Hell, I played with mono, and I had some walking pneumonia in there, and I still played through it all because I was always the impression you can't make the team if you're on the training table. So I
Yeah.
showed up every day, lost 25 pounds that summer,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of woe is me creeps into, and that crept in a little bit, and a little self doubt. It's like, what the hell? And like everything you believed in mentally, and then that little bit of doubt crept in, and that little bit of woe is me, and it was just amazing how the mind is just so powerful, and you start feeling that doubt and that self belief kind of goes away, so to speak, and then you just blame it on, you're making excuses at that point. You just blame it on the front office and saying this
Right.
is BS,
Right.
and yeah.
So how do we come through that? What happened next?
So how do we come through it? Well, I go up to so that winter, that off season, I don't get invited to big league camp. I'm stuck back in minor league camp, grinding it out again, not even know if I have a job. And this is a crazy story. And so my old man has a heart attack. It's 2015, and it is February, and I'm just getting ready to go to spring training, or 2016. Sorry, I'm getting ready to go to spring training, and Dad has a heart attack. I'm sitting in the hospital, and with him, talking to him, he's out of surgery and everything like that. Got lucky. And here I am worried about working out and lifting weights, and like, oh, I didn't get my workout in. I didn't get my workout in. And I'm sitting there as like a light bulb goes off. Like, dude, your dad about died and had a heart attack. Like, what are you worried about? Like, just relax and enjoy it. Like, just be content. It's okay to miss a few workouts. Like, be content being with your dad. Just try to go out there and enjoy it. And I'd lost the love of baseball in 15, and just hated it. I was so burnt out of everything and lost all joy in it. And that's where my mind shifted from, okay, you work hard enough, you work your butt off for everything you've gotten. Now just go have fun again and play it. And then 16, a month later, I rake in spring training and start off AAA season. I'm leading the league in all the categories: home runs, doubles, triples, power, you name it. Stealing bases, I had 13 stolen bases in April. And sure enough, May 21st, I get called up to the big leagues. They had a few injuries and blindsided me. I had no idea. I did. It was furthest thing from my mind was getting called up because I was so just over Texas Rangers, and I was hoping to get traded somewhere else. And then boom, here you are. You're playing in Arlington. You're under the big lights.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to go, first of all, I mentioned that your dad and I worked in the same, I remember that. I remember when your dad had the heart attack when that happened. And honestly, it could have been really bad. It could have been really, really bad. He was really fortunate. He had a lot of people around him. And it's just, we're thankful that, I mean, I'm sure you're extremely thankful that we still have him. He's an amazing man. But it's amazing how this event then just kind of woke you up a little bit, right? It gave you a completely different perspective. And I think life, business, whatever you want to call it, just our frame of reference, how we look at things is so important. And it was a change in mindset, right? It wasn't planned, but it was just you change your mindset from I'm going to overwork to I'm still going to work hard, but I'm going to approach it with gratitude. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy the process. And you hear that, and maybe it sounds cliche, but the reality is when you made that shift is you're back, right? And maybe there were some things with mono and the sickness, but really your mindset is what created the shift, it sounds like, and it just gave you perspective to say, let's just go have fun. Let's just have fun, enjoy this, and let the results be what they are. But I'm going to have fun no matter what. And once you do that, it clicks. So May 21st, we go up to the big leagues under the big lights. How was that? I mean, that had to be an amazing feeling. Like all this work, all this time, several years leading up to it. That had to be a pretty amazing day.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. I spent, was it 5 years in the minor leagues? I was one of the kind of older guys, I guess you could say, to get called up. I was 20, heck, I was still only 26 when I got called up. But you get called up. I'm there for 3 weeks, and unbelievable time. Meet all the guys you'd been in spring training with, or seen in spring training. Also, that guys like Adrian Beltre, Prince Fielder, these awesome huge
Superstars.
names,
Yeah.
superstars. And you get to play with them. And you're playing against Mike Trout, all these guys you have seen all this success, and you're with them, you're competing with them. And I was a fourth outfield type guy. I'd bounce in and out when somebody got injuries. Chu was hurt, so as soon as he got off the DL, it's back in the minor leagues. And but you got that feather in your cap now. You're a big leaguer,
Right.
something nobody can take away. And then next 2 years, 16 and 17, kind of bounced up and down with the Rangers. And you always hope you get your shot to start and compete and get 100 at bats in a row, but that wasn't really in the cards, which I kind of understood that too. But I was more the defensive speed base running specialist I turned myself into. But then that led me to the next page, which was South Korea.
Yeah, that was a big. I mean, and honestly, it's like the game, the atmosphere, like the excitement, like just I mean, it looked, from what I've seen, just looked absolutely incredible. So tell us about that experience. I mean, it had to be completely just eye-opening in a lot of different ways, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and then the mindset shifted to, okay, I got a daughter now. We started a family, and I'm bouncing up and down in the big leagues. All right, I got, let's say, 4 or 5 more strong years left. Now I got to make some money. How am I? I'm making good money in the big leagues, obviously, but the minor leagues, you don't make nothing. Okay, I got to get something out of this now. And an opportunity arises to go to South Korea, and for some substantial life-changing money. And it's kind of like, okay, I've talked to a lot of friends that went over there and played. Let's do it. So me and my wife decided to jump ship and go over to South Korea. And over there's I wouldn't trade those days for nothing. A lot of nerves going into it, not knowing what you're getting into. But the fans, the experience over there, the cheerleaders, the fans were incredible. Had some great seasons over there. That was just a freedom. That was almost a freedom for me playing baseball.
Tell me more about that. I was ready to go in a different direction, but what do you mean by that? Like freedom, just yeah, help me understand that.
So for me, it was on me now. If I did well, they were going to keep me around and they're going to pay me a lot of money. If I sucked, I got to go home. They're going to release me and they're going to send me home. But it was finally, for once, it was literally on me. Like if I did good, I earned every cent. If I stunk, then they sent me home. There's no politics involved, no nothing, no to have to worry about no first rounders, no trades, no bring in some veteran here or there in a big market trade, big move. There's none of that. It was you show up, you do the job, you get rewarded for it. And
Yeah.
that was so freeing for me. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the reason I was curious, the freedom word is, I think it's so important, and I've tried to even define different types of freedom. I've probably talked about it even on the podcast. You could say um, there's a ton of different types of freedom. I think the question is, what is holding you back, or what is even weighing you down, and what are you not free from? It's not like, so for you, it was just you had a lack of control you felt in the big leagues in the U.S., and this gave you the freedom to say, I control it. I own it. It's within my control, and that was freeing. And I think just for the listeners, what is holding you back? What is preventing you from getting to the next level? Is there things that are kind of, you feel like, are shackles on you? Get rid of them. Figure out a way to get rid
Mhm.
of those and just be free. So I wasn't thinking about going there, but I like it. The other thing is just with the what led to the move that you talked about is your mindset shifted and your priorities were changing at this stage of life too, right? Family, daughter, you got to be thinking about financially, how are you going to set yourself up for the long term, things like that. Like there's some real priorities here. So not just you said mindset, priorities, and freedom. I love that. So how long were you there? How did that? I mean, what? Yeah, let's kind of come to the end of the career there over the next couple of years. What did that look like?
Yeah, so I go to South Korea in 2018, and I had to take a ego check, pride check, you whatever you want to call it. So I get there and I show up. Our spring training's in Okinawa, Japan, and I go from big league spring training in the States and just everything's immaculate and fields, grass is just incredible, no piece of dirt out of place. And I show up and it is one field and it is an all like sand, black sand infield, and the outfield looks like a horse track. And they have another little like grass area on the side. And I show up here, and this stadium, I swear it was built after World War II. It's just all concrete bunker. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting into here? But then it's like, well, they're paying me to be here, so let's just buckle down, let's just work. And never lost sight of that. Just worked hard, got to know my teammates as well as I could. The language barrier was tough. The food was tough. For lunch, we're eating hard-boiled eggs and hot noodles with the guy cooking them, sweat dripping into the pot, and you're just kind of like, "Ooh, okay, all right, I can get through it." And you keep showing up. You just go and get through it.
One of the other words I wrote down earlier was just with your dad's heart attack, just it changed your perspective. But how? So you were in South Korea until when?
So my last year there was 2021.
So for about 3 years, and then your family. But I mean, how did your perspective shift to, like, I guess what just changed about your perspective on where we live, the U.S., whatever you want to call it? Like, what was like completely major eye-opening things? Like, wow, there's this really happens in places in the world, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's just the whole. They were content. Like they were happy as could be. The field was literally crap. Like we had nicer high school fields, and they're all content. And you learn from them by the fact that they love this. Like they are in love with playing baseball out here, and so you just find the joy in it through that. And the whole food thing was tough. Boy, it took me a while to figure out what to eat over there. You had to swallow a lot of pride. Like I say, you just take the ego, take the pride out of it, whatever it is, and you just go there because the mindset now for me was I got a daughter, I got a family, and let's go kick some butt and try to earn as much money as I can over there and try to
Yeah,
win along the way.
yeah.
And that just fueled it.
Do you think that everyone is content, like just appreciative content? Was that a baseball cultural item, or was that a South Korea? There's just more happiness and contentment there.
I think just South Korea in general, they were so happy just to be professional baseball players, and they worked unbelievably hard over there. Our practices were a lot harder and long and extensive than they ever were in the States. But it's a pride thing for them. For them to put that jersey on in the Korean Baseball League, like, is a huge deal for them. Like, they're superstars over there.
And the fans, like the fan society, like did they have that same mindset? Like did that carry through? Was that just did they all share that, or was it different between the baseball players and organization you were in relative to the the just society in general there?
Over there, the fans, like, they love baseball. Like, they stand, imagine a soccer crowd jammed inside a baseball stadium. They got cheerleaders jumping around. Like, it is literally their national pastime. Like,
Yeah,
they love it. Baseball games here get a little boring for people because they just sit there on their phones. But here, no.
it's
Everybody's
just
drinking
dynamic.
beer, eating food, just having a good time.
Yeah,
It's an event for them.
yeah.
It's a party for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, we've talked about a lot here. This has been amazing, but I just want to summarize some of the different things and I'll maybe hit some other questions. But so you talked about your work ethic, limiting beliefs or lack of belief, and then just out like working, do you belong, fearing regret, shifting from like changing perspective, contentment, and just enjoying the process. Like, how do you apply these things? How like all these things you've learned from your baseball career? How do you apply these things every day?
Oh man, it's you never think it's going to translate to the real world, as I call it. Now I got a decent 8 to 5 job. Like it's just pretty standard. I sell electrical equipment, but I enjoy it because I got to deal with people. But like when I first started, I knew nothing about this industry. I used to wire houses a little bit in the off season, but I took the same mindset of just show up every day, try to learn one thing, try to improve yourself each day. And then now I've been here for 2 years, and it's just like the same thing. You just show up, put the work in, and you're going to learn just because you're around it. So literally the same mindset I had playing baseball is no different than bringing it here. It's just not from a physical standpoint anymore. It's just a mental standpoint. But how to make yourself better is exactly what I'm doing here.
I love the just, we so often like we dream and we have a big visions or big plans and we get so caught. It's honestly the baseball analogy you talked about. Like you're going for the big leagues, but if you need to have that out there, but you need to show up and just get 1% better every day. You just get a little bit better every day, and like it
Mm-hmm.
just the big thing is get better. So any area of life, business, career, finances, fatherhood, marriage, faith, any area of life, get 1%. Just get a little bit better every single day, and the compounding and ripple effect of that over a long term period. If you go back to your career of 12 years, you weren't much better on day 5 than you were day 1. But day 15, whatever, however long it was, I can't
Yeah.
do math that, day 10,000 versus day 1, dramatic improvement and compound effect of your physical abilities, your mindset, everything. So I think it's just have that mindset of consistency, grit, toughness. Life can be hard, but just get a little bit better every single day. So I love
It's
it.
all the cliche, like you said, get 1% better, show up. It sounds so cliche, and like everybody's heard these talks before, but it's so true. Like if I have something where I struggle here today, I'm like, God, what the heck am I doing? I screwed something up. It's like, well, figure it out, move on, get to the next day tomorrow. Next day, everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to make all this money. Everybody wants to make all these sales, this and that. And everybody wants to be how do you get so smart? Guy that's been here for 10 years. Well, he's been here for 10 years, been here for
Right.
20 years. He showed up every day and put the work in. And
Yeah.
it is. There's no shortcuts. Everybody wants to have a shortcut somewhere, but it's not. You can't replicate showing up. Like
Yeah.
it's so cliche, but it's true.
How much do you think I want to talk about just again baseball and professional, but whatever direction you want to take it. But like a little about your leadership style. I'm not, you talked about the language barrier, but you also talked about like at Toledo. I'll go back to that. You don't have to be the loud vocal leader. I don't know if you were or not. You can talk about that, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be the loud vocal leader to just lead by example. And people are asking you those questions at Toledo. Why are you working so hard? You're in the best shape, but they're also saying dang it, I need to work as hard as Jared. And you're making the whole team better because of it. So you don't, what was your style? What was your approach to leadership? And was it vocal or was it just, I'm just going to lead by example?
No, I was never vocal. If I got vocal, it was to be for an example. It had to be something serious, or it had to be something to have a huge example of. But for whatever reason, every team I was on, I always kind of ended up being that quiet leader, so to speak. I showed up every day, I'd run through walls and just work my butt off. And if something needed to be addressed, I was never afraid to address it either. And it's no different than here. Communication's huge, and I learned communication coming from a guy who hated speech class in high school to being able to talk anybody's ear off. Communication's huge. I learned that in the minor leagues, learned it in the big leagues. I played with guys from Latin America, didn't know English, so I had to learn some Spanish. Go to Korea, guess what? I had a translator, but when you're in the dugout, you got to be able to talk baseball. Learn a little bit of Korean, enough to communicate. Then guys start looking up to you, young guys, older guys too, and you just want to help everybody else as much as you can. So the leader, it just comes from working hard and just having success too. That helps. The 25th man on the bench is rarely the leader, but guys kind of fall in line behind you. And then I got a loud enough voice too. If something needs to be heard, then I can let it rip, and then it's for effect. It's not like the guy yelling,
Yeah.
screaming, then everybody else rolls their eyes and oh, he's yelling again. No, you only use that for effect.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that like for listeners, if you're quiet to vocal or whatever spectrum or whatever personality type, it doesn't matter, right? You can always lead by example, but like there's not a one size fits all on leadership and style and approach. You can read a lot of books, there's a lot of helpful things on leadership, but your style needs to be your style that works for you, right? And get better at it, like we talked about. Work on it, get better at it, because in any organization, again, any area of life, any organization, leadership is important. Leadership really, really matters. But that doesn't mean you're put in a box as to what style of leadership you need to have.
Oh, not at all. There's no box. There's no said box. Each personality is different. But like, if you can just show up with a smile on your face, like you could just fake it. But if you smile, people are generally going to want to be around you. And if you're a positive person, if you're negative and grumping and scowling all the time, people are going to shy away from you. If
Yeah,
you're smiling and happy and look like you enjoy what you do, you may not, but you can fake it. It's okay
yeah,
because you're going to have good and bad days. But like, people generally just want to follow you and like, dang, that guy, he's kind of got it figured out. Like he
yeah.
is just enjoying what he's doing, whether it be puking in a trash can or selling electrical equipment. It's all kind of the same bucket.
I think we just got our title right there, from puking in trash cans to selling electrical, and everything in between.
Yep.
We'll spare you. We'll keep this on here. They're going to hear that, but we're not going to put that as the title probably. I would just say, like, one of our core values is just attitude and the energy you bring. And I think you can bring energy that brings you can bring energy to the room, or you can take energy out of the room. And
Hmm.
I just like the word energy. If you're bringing energy to the room, you're lifting everybody up, you're positive. There's so much impact you can have just by doing that, and a simple smile on your face, things like that can be a big part of it. I want you to step back and reflect. You think about your career, what you've done. Let's talk about baseball, I think, but just, you know, if you really think about your career, the people you touched, the locations you went to, how does what you did? How does it make you feel?
I think the older I get, I'll appreciate it more. The hardest part is I'm 35 years old and I still feel like I could play. Like I see guys on TV that I played against and with that are still playing. I'm like, why am I not out there? I should be out there. And that's the competitive edge in me.
Yeah.
I'll be 60 years old. I'll probably say the same thing. But like the older I get, the more and more I appreciate it. Like I've been out of it for about 3 years now, and I start telling stories that I haven't told before, and you kind of give advice on baseball and tell stories about where I've been and what I've experienced, and it's kind of like, you know what, that was kind of cool. Not bad for a kid that grew up in the woods. Like I did
Yeah.
actually do some cool stuff. So I'm starting to appreciate it more and more. But the competitive juices inside of me are still like, all right, give me some 22-year-old and I'll see if I can outrun him and outwork him yet. So
Well, I
that's never going to go away.
I appreciate you coming on so much, because you do have a platform, right? Like, people know who you are. I mean, you had a ton of success at the highest level, um, and because of that, you have a voice. You're gonna have a lot of people listening to this saying, "Oh man, Jared is a good guy. Like, it's authentic, it's real, and it's not clearly some natural abilities that you had, but also a lot of people have that, and it's work ethic, it's mindset, it's all the things you talked about. It's throwing up in the trash can and doing whatever you got to do. So I just appreciate it. What do you think for you, kind of moving forward, as you think about this, however you want to think about it? Like, what is going to be the most important thing for your success moving forward?
Honestly, just smile and showing up. Like it sounds so simple, but in my mind, if I even if I had a bad day at home or the day before, if I just show up the next day with a clean slate and just smile and try to enjoy it, like that's going to get me through anything. And I think that can get people through a lot of stuff. Like build your teammates up, your coworkers, like just enjoy being around them. Don't get so fixated. If somebody drives you nuts, don't get so fixated on the thing that drives you nuts about them, because you're going to pick that out every time. Like just enjoy being around people and don't take life so serious. I mean, you got to chill out sometimes. You only live once, so might as well enjoy it no matter what you do.
Yeah. Amazing, Jared. This has been so helpful. Again, we appreciate it. Just to summarize again, I mean, work ethic, belief system, limiting beliefs, honestly getting yourselves in rooms that you don't belong in, or you feel like you might not belong, and improve. Like, because if you get in those rooms, you're gonna realize you do belong, and you're gonna build the confidence, and then also you're gonna get in the next room, right? And that's kind of what happened to you if you think about it. I mean, from
Hmm.
high school to Legion ball to college ball to minor leagues, minor league levels, base to the majors and professional. So, just not fearing regret, or fearing regret, not failure, learning, having perspective, being content and enjoying life. I think so many valuable lessons from this. And then just to close it up, just smile and show up and have the right attitude. I love that. So is there anywhere, Jared, you want to direct our listeners to learn more about you, or anything, or any organization that could help, anything like that?
I always tell people I'm out and about. I'm from Fort Laramie. You'll see me out and about at a bunch of ball games, basketball, volleyball, baseball. I mean, anybody that's close, you'll see me. I got 3 daughters, got a beautiful wife, beautiful family, so I'm not going anywhere. I always
How
tell
old are
people
your How old are your girls?
8, 5, and 3.
8, 5, and 3.
Yeah,
All right. My oldest is 14 and then 11. Then we have 2 boys and another girl. So
you're a busy man.
I'm about 5 or 6 years ahead of you. So I'll tell you when you need to be warned. I'll put it on my calendar when you need
That's
to be warned
right.
and need to be ready. But no, that's awesome. Beautiful family. Jared, I appreciate it so much. You've been wonderful. This was awesome. So I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem, Phil. Like I said, I don't tell too many baseball stories anymore, so it's always fun. This is the part that I enjoy now, which I'm learning to enjoy even more of appreciate what I did back in the day a few years ago. But
Well, again, you have a platform and you just have an energy about you that I appreciate, and you bring it, you smile, you show up. You were great for our audience. I appreciate it so much. For the Moeller Real Estate and Business Podcast, signing off. Thank you for listening to the Moeller Real Estate and Business Podcast. We hope you found today's episode helpful. If you know current or aspiring investors or entrepreneurs or anyone that would benefit from today's episode, we appreciate you sharing it with them, or better yet, providing us a 5-star review. To learn more about Moeller Real Estate, visit our website at www.moellerre.com. You can also sign up for our newsletter or local events via our website. In closing, I encourage you to be purposeful in all areas of life, educate yourself, network with others that have been successful, take action, and lead. Thank you.